The grand ballroom of the Sterling Enterprises Gala shimmered under chandeliers, their crystal prisms scattering light across gold-trimmed tables. The security guard at the entrance, a familiar face from countless corporate events, nodded respectfully. As I glided past in my emerald silk dress, its fabric cool against my skin. As Margaret Sterling, co-founder and 17% shareholder of Sterling Enterprises, my presence was expected, required, even. For 15 years, I'd been the silent architect of Robert's empire, the woman who pored over contracts at midnight, hosted client dinners that clinched multi-million-dollar deals, and mortgaged my inheritance to secure his first office lease. Tonight, we were to celebrate Sterling Enterprises' ascension into the billion-dollar club, a coronation of our shared vision. At 52, I still turned heads, my figure honed by years of discipline, my auburn hair swept into an elegant chignon. Robert had chosen this dress last week, his fingers brushing the fabric as he murmured, "Green makes your eyes mysterious," before planting a distracted kiss on my forehead. That fleeting gesture, once tender, now felt like an afterthought. The ballroom buzzed with the city's elite, tech moguls debating AI trends near the bar, the mayor laughing with the bank president, and the governor's wife, Patricia Hoffman, air kissing my cheeks with practiced warmth. "Robert must be thrilled," she said, her smile a touch too bright. "Such an achievement." "We both are," I replied, scanning the crowd for my husband's silver hair and broad shoulders. "It's been a long road." Her smile flickered, a shadow crossing her face before she turned to greet another guest. The exchange left a faint unease, like a note played slightly off-key. As I moved through the room, accepting congratulations and exchanging pleasantries with faces I'd known for decades, I noticed subtle shifts. Conversations paused when I approached, voices dropping to whispers. Eyes darted over champagne flutes, smiles tight with something like pity. Near the chocolate fountain, Janet Morrison from the country club leaned toward her husband, her voice low but deliberate. "I feel so sorry for her. Everyone knows except." They spotted me and pivoted to discussing the unseasonably warm autumn. My stomach twisted, a knot of dread tightening. I found Robert near the stage, his custom tuxedo accentuating his commanding presence. Surrounded by investors and executives, he radiated the charisma that had first drawn me to him 23 years ago, when I was his paralegal and he was a scrappy attorney with dreams bigger than his bank account. I approached, expecting to join the circle, to share in his triumph, but the men's shoulders turned inward, forming a subtle barrier. "Robert," I said softly, touching his elbow. He turned, and for a split second, annoyance flashed across his face, sharp, unguarded before melting into a polite smile, the kind he reserved for persistent vendors. "Oh, Margaret, you're here." No warmth, no arm around my waist, no introduction to the foreign investors he'd been wooing for months. "Of course I'm here," I said, forcing a laugh to keep things light. "This is our night, isn't it?" One man coughed awkwardly and excused himself. Another checked his watch, muttering about his wife. Within seconds, the group dissolved, leaving Robert and me alone by the stage. "I should get back to networking," he said, his eyes already scanning the room. "These deals won't close themselves." He walked away without a glance, leaving me standing like a forgotten prop, the weight of 100 eyes pressing into my back. The whispers grew louder, sharper. "There's the frigid wife who can't satisfy him," a voice cut through the hum of the party, just loud enough to ensure I heard. I turned, my face burning, but the speaker vanished into the sea of faces. Another voice, softer, crueler. "Poor thing. She has no idea about Vanessa." Vanessa, Robert's new assistant, the 26-year-old blonde with a model's figure and ambitious eyes, hired 6 months ago. She worked late nights, joined him on business trips, whispered urgent updates in his ear at meetings. The pieces clicked into place, his late nights that stretched past midnight, the urgent texts that lit up his phone, the business trips I was suddenly excluded from. Vanessa materialized beside me, her scarlet dress a stark contrast to the room's muted elegance. Her perfume, cloyingly sweet, hit me like a wave. "Margaret, sweetie," she said, her smile sharp enough to draw blood. "There's been a misunderstanding. This party's for business associates and key stakeholders only." "I am a key stakeholder," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. "I own 17% of this company." "Had," she corrected, her tone dripping with mock sympathy. Past tense, darling. Robert's been meaning to discuss some changes. Before I could respond, 2 security guards appeared at my sides, their faces blank, unrecognizable, despite years of nodding to me at company events. Security, remove this useless woman, Vanessa announced, her voice carrying across the ballroom. Conversation stopped. Every eye turned to us, witnesses to my public execution. I looked to Robert, desperate for him to intervene, but he turned his back, engrossed in a discussion about quarterly projections. The guards escorted me toward the exit, their grip gentle but firm. My heels echoed on the marble floor, each step a hammer against my heart. The revolving door spun shut behind me, its finality ringing in my ears. The valet, who'd greeted me warmly an hour ago, now studied his clipboard as if it held the secrets of the universe. In my clutch, nestled between lipstick and keys, was a velvet box, a platinum bracelet engraved with the coordinates of Robert's proposal on a Malibu beach 23 years ago. I'd commissioned it months ago, planning to surprise him after his speech. Now, my fingers trembled as I pulled it out. The velvet soft under my thumb. Somewhere between the hotel steps and my car, I let it fall, the coordinates of our love scattered on concrete like broken promises. A young server taking a smoke break noticed me standing frozen. "You okay, ma'am?" Her concern felt genuine, a stark contrast to the manufactured sympathy inside. "Just getting some air," I managed, forcing a smile that cracked like glass. She nodded but kept watching as I straightened my shoulders and walked to the parking garage. Each step fueled something new, not grief, but resolve, hard and unyielding. In my Tesla, parked under the garage's fluorescent glare, I sat in silence, letting the truth settle. The signs had been there. Robert's sudden gym obsession, trading glasses for contacts, charges for restaurants I'd never visited, his habit of showering the moment he got home, washing away evidence I'd been too trusting to see. But the betrayal wasn't just the affair, it was my erasure. Every business article crowned him the visionary founder of Sterling Enterprises, ignoring the woman who'd funded his first lease, secured loans, and built his network. My $20 million in contributions, my family's legal connections, my sleepless nights reviewing contracts, all invisible. I dialed David Chen, my financial advisor. "Margaret, it's past 10:00, he said, voice thick with sleep. "Everything okay?" "Liquidate my $17 million stake in Sterling Enterprises. Freeze all joint accounts and credit cards. Everything tied to Robert shuts down now." "Margaret, that's a massive move. Are you sure?" "First thing Monday, David." Next, I called Linda, our travel agent. "Cancel our Tuscany trip for our anniversary." "That's a special trip," she said, concerned. "The cancellation fees do it." The trip Robert had planned, likely with Vanessa in mind, while I stayed home, oblivious. A text from hotel security. "Mrs. Sterling, you left a gift box on the steps. Should I bring it to your car?" "Throw it away," I texted back. My phone lit up, with Robert's calls 43 by the time I reached our circular driveway. I declined each one, letting him drown in his own panic. The woman who'd walked into that party was dead. The woman in this car was something else entirely. At 5:30 a.m., I brewed coffee in our silent kitchen, the grinders hummed the only sound in the stillness. My home office, with its mahogany desk, a 10th anniversary gift from Robert, felt different now, a command center rather than a relic. My filing cabinets held 23 years of evidence, incorporation papers naming me co-founder, loan guarantees I'd signed, my grandmother's inheritance. That fueled our first acquisition. I photographed each document, creating a digital fortress of truth. By 8 o'clock, I'd cataloged 15 years of contributions Robert's narrative had erased. The $3 million loan I'd guaranteed in 2001, the second mortgage during the 2008 recession, the client referrals that built his empire. David called as the markets opened. "Sterling's stock is down 2% in pre-market trading." Word spreading about a major shareholder shift. "You're absolutely certain?" "I've never been more certain." Drafted a legal notice, clinical and precise. "Margaret Elizabeth Hartford hereby liquidates her 17% stake and terminates all joint financial obligations." My finger hovered over the send button for 3 seconds before clicking. The email vanished, carrying the end of Robert's control. His calls flooded, and 56 by noon, each unanswered ring a small victory. Vanessa texted, proposing coffee to discuss last night's misunderstanding. It's Miss Hartford now, I replied, screenshotting her call for my records. My sister Sarah called, her voice tight. Robert says you're destroying his company out of spite, that you're having a breakdown. Did you know I've contributed over $20 million to his success, Sarah? Not counting my time, my connections, my labor. Did you know he's been sleeping with his assistant? That she humiliated me in front of 200 people last night? Silence. I'm not breaking down, I said. I'm breaking free. Mondays. Boardroom meeting was my battlefield. The Sterling Enterprises boardroom, with its floor-to-ceiling windows and imposing oak table, had intimidated many, but I arrived 30 minutes early. My documents spread like a general's war plan. Board members filtered in, avoiding my gaze. James Morrison, the CFO, offered a sympathetic nod. Patricia Webb from legal looked ill, likely calculating the fallout. Robert burst through the doors, his silver hair disheveled, tie askew, dark circles under his eyes. Vanessa followed in, a red power suit, her confidence faltering as she leaned against the wall, arms crossed like a shield. Margaret? What have you done? Robert's voice cracked, his palm slamming the table. Our stock's in freefall. Clients are panicking. The bank's demanding answers about frozen accounts. I leaned back, hands folded. Good morning, Robert. Gentlemen, Patricia. Thank you for gathering. I've liquidated my 17% stake, per company bylaws. Everything was legal. You've taken everything. Robert paced like a caged lion. 23 years of work, destroyed because you're having some emotional breakdown. I slid a document across the table. This is the 1998 incorporation filing, listing me as co-founder and primary investor. Another followed. The 2001 loan I guaranteed for $3 million, secured by my assets. A thick stack landed next. My $27 million in contributions, not counting client relationships and strategic guidance. The room fell silent, save for the air conditionings. Robert's face drained to gray. Vanessa's eyes darted, her poise crumbling. Patricia spoke cautiously. What are you proposing? I'm not proposing. I've divested. Sterling Enterprises must restructure to survive. I met Vanessa's gaze. New leadership, untainted by scandal, might help. Robert followed. My look, understanding dawning. You're doing this to get back at me for what, Robert? Your affair? My public humiliation? Erasing my contributions? This isn't revenge. It's business. I gathered my papers. Call an emergency shareholder meeting. At the door, Robert's voice broke. I'm stepping down. Gasps echoed. Vanessa's face went white, her future evaporating. I'll have my attorney prepare divorce papers, I added, walking out. The elevator descended in silence, and I smiled. Invisibility had taught me how to command a room. 3 months later, I signed divorce papers as Margaret Hartford, reclaiming my maiden name. My attorney, Rebecca Martinez, reviewed my financial records. Your documentation is airtight. You're entitled to far more than a 50-50th split. I enrolled in a photography class, reviving a college passion Robert had dismissed as impractical. My instructor, Elena, a retired National Geographic photographer, became a mentor. You see stories others miss, she said, reviewing my portraits of women rebuilding their lives. I invested in a sustainable fashion startup run by two young designers, their hunger and vision reminding me of Robert and me 25 years ago. Why fashion? Rebecca asked. Because they're building something beautiful without exploiting others. And because I can spot talent without needing anyone's approval. 6 months post-divorce, my photography debuted at Meridian Gallery. 8 black and white portraits of women in transition laughing, crying, healing line the walls, drawing collectors and critics. A woman in her 30s, mid-divorce, approached. Your work gives me hope there's joy on the other side. There is, I said, different, but real. 3 pieces sold and 2 collectors commissioned portraits. At the opening, Robert appeared, looking diminished. You're happy, he said. I am. I'm sorry. Thank you. I walked away, the evening air crisp with possibility. A year later, I drove my midnight blue Tesla Model S purchased with my own money along the Pacific coast, my camera equipment beside me. Hartford Ventures, my investment firm, had closed its 3rd deal, the fashion startup soaring. My book, Resilience, Portraits of Women Reclaimed, drew interest from publishers. Sarah called, her voice warm. I'm driving down for your exhibition. Getting to know you as my sister, not Robert's wife, has been a gift. The gallery buzzed, my portraits glowing under soft lighting. Critics praised their raw authenticity. I moved through the crowd, my voice strong, my presence undeniable. Later, in my office, surrounded by my art, I read a text from Vanessa. Saw your exhibition. You deserve this. I deleted it. On my balcony under a starlit sky, I breathed deeply. The woman who'd been invisible was now unstoppable, successful, independent, free. What was your favorite moment? Share below and subscribe for more stories of women reclaiming their power.